welcome back. Today we're going to go over macros. And if you like our channel, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment. So, why would you use a macro? And what is a macro? Well, macros are sequence of events that can be played back to help with repetitive tasks, such as copying, pasting, and updating reports. So if you're tired of doing the same task or steps with a particular report every day, week, or month, well, macros are the perfect tool for you to use. So, without any further ado, let's get right to it. Let's learn how to record a macro. Let's get it. So I already have a spreadsheet set up. It's the third quarterly sales by manager and region. Every month we get this report, and it comes to us by name, region, state, first, second, and third quarter sales. When we get to fourth quarter, it'll have the fourth quarter sales and the year-to-date sales. So let's say we have to format this spreadsheet. We have to do some formatting. We have to create a chart. So when you're doing a macro, just make sure that you know every step that you want to do because the macro actually is recording all the steps. And if you make a mistake, you can also delete and start again. So let's go ahead and create a macro. There's certain ways you can create the macro or start creating a macro. You can go down here to this icon here, click that, and you can start creating your macro here. You can do a macro name and store it in a certain workbook. You can have a shortcut key and a description of the macro. But we're going to cancel that. Another way we can get to record a macro is if we go to the toolbar and we right click and we find the developer icon for the toolbar so it can be added. Click on that. Okay, now developer is added. And here we can record a macro and we can see macros that we already have. But we're going to undo that. And I'm going to show you one other way to get the developer on your toolbar. Go to File, go to Options, Customize Ribbons, find Developer, hit OK. So we're going to hit Developer to start recording our macro. If we go to Macros and we click on that, we see that we don't have any macros saved, so we have nothing to run. But if we created a couple of macros, they would all be listed here. And we'll pick which one that we want to run. We're going to cancel that. And we're going to go to Record Macros. So to record the steps that we want, let's hit Record Macro. Let's give it a name. Let's call it quarterly sales. And you can't have any spaces when you create a macro's name. Let's give it a shortcut key, Control A. We're going to save it in this workbook. And let's give it a description. Let's call it quarterly sales macro monthly. Let's make that a capital. So let's go ahead and build this macro. So let's just say you get this all the time on a monthly basis and you have to format it. Your boss wants it in a certain way, or maybe another department, you have to send it to them in a certain way. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to format it just like we do on a monthly basis. Probably that needs to be orange. We need to get rid of the underline. We can do a thick border. We can bold this. We can get rid of this. Maybe we want to sum this numbers here. Bold that. Thick border. So all these steps are being recorded by the macro. And probably we want to do some conditional format in here. Highlight cells greater than, let's say, 100,000. Probably we want green. And probably we want to make this a nice color here. So we're going to fill that. Let's do orange. Let's do a lighter orange. Okay. Probably make that a little bit bigger. So now we have it the way we want it. We can go back to developer and stop recording. Now if we go to macros, here is the macro we just created. We can also go to view to view our macro, and we can also run it from view. We're going to hit cancel on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the same data set on another spreadsheet, and then we're going to run the macro. I'll be right back. Now I just created a data set identical to the one that I just worked on. Now in order to run your macro, let's just say for instance you receive the report again and you're ready to run your macro. Now there's three ways you can go about doing this. The first way is you can go to developer, click on macros, and there's your macros and you can hit run and that'll run your macro. Another way is you can go to view, click on macros, and you can run your macros through view. And the third way is when we first set up our macro, we set up a shortcut key with a control A, and we can do it that way as well. And I'm also going to show you how to create a button to run the macro, but that's going to be our next step. So let's just hit control A, and there it is. Microsoft Excel automatically runs the macro. We didn't have to do anything. We could just sit back and just move on to our next task. Now, wasn't that simple? Here's the original. Here's the macro run. So let me show you how to also run a macro with a button. So here we have the same identical worksheet. Now, instead of going to developer or view to run your macro, or hitting the shortcut key, there's another way you can do it. Go to developer, go to insert, button, and here you're going to assign the macro to the button. We're going to assign quarterly sales, and we can do it for this worksheet or open workbooks, sales and data quarterly workbook, but we're going to do just this workbook. We're going to hit OK. And we can also change the title of the button. We can do quarterly sales. Formatted. So now you can just simply click on the button and it'll run your macro for you. So that's just another neat shortcut that you can do with the macros. And there's two things that you should remember as well. When you're saving your macro Excel worksheet or workbook, you must save it as a macro-enabled workbook. Okay, now that that's saved under the right format, there's one other thing I wanted to show you about macros. Now, if we go to the developer here in the toolbar and we click on macros, we're going to step into the macro, which is basically our Visual Basic application. Here we can modify our macro without having to repeat the patterns over and over again, or deleting it and starting a new one. Here we can change the name. We can change our shortcut key, the range where we started. We can change line styles if we wanted. But I think you get the idea. And it also becomes important just in case the person who's sending you the report on a monthly basis decides to add a column or add a row, then you can come in here and you make your changes without having to, like I said, repeat the macro all over again. So stay tuned for that video. And look at that. Today you've learned macros. So keep training, keep learning, and never get comfortable. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and like our channel, because we're going to keep growing this channel and making sure that everyone learns Excel the easy way. So until next time.